as you grow older, having people that do just die does make you very aware that there's no take two on your life or backup. You haven't really got much other chance to do interesting things, and your own responsibility to just take whatever situation you're in and try and make it as fun for yourself as possible.
Yeah, I'm always staggered by how few people like you're motivated by that. I'm motivated by that. I'm always staggered how few people are motivated by making the most of their one chance. Like, always staggered. Like, I get out there and do some great stuff, but most people just don't. They just stay in and do crap stuff.
Yeah. Don't wait till next year because of whatever you could have done with this year with the past. You can't do that year again.
Remember a friend of mine, I expressed this kind of opinion to one of my best friends a few years ago, and how I wanted each year to build upon the last one. And he felt that that was going to put a lot of pressure on me. But I want to live a relentless life. I want to be relentless in getting out there and having as many experiences as I can, but also in trying to have as positive impact on the planet as I possibly can.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just definitely energizing, and there's something really big about momentum as well. I think that just does keep you going and doing things, and that's certainly one of my things. Is like I try and put like life goals in for each year, and one of them always has to be some kind of like next level adventure of some form. That I think if I just keeps up the momentum level of doing it, whereas if it's sort of like a few years ago where you did something cool, you're like, maybe this year isn't going to be the one either. Whereas if like every year you have to do something that like is pretty scary and big, it just keeps up that level of doing things. Wasn't ideal because I was meant to be going to the Arctic this year, which got cancelled. And then because I had the 2 weeks off was when I did my ultra marathon, because I had to do something that I hadn't done. And I'd put on 5 kilos to go to the Arctic and hadn't been training to run marathons. So I then ran an ultra marathon in the complete wrong state, which then ended up giving me a leg fracture. But also I thought that was maybe kind of good because I learned a bit more about how my body feels in terms of types of injury and things that I should or shouldn't be running on and stuff. And I was like, well, okay, I want to do even bigger ones, like 100 milers and things. And knowing what's going to put me back into hospital or not is probably a good one to know, because I can then go into these things with a bit more awareness. So it's all okay, I think.
Sliding doors moments, one shuts, another one opens.
Yeah, exactly. And also it made me very aware that I really, really want to go to the Arctic. I was like, shit, I was sort of down about it and disappointed perhaps, but like I knew that something would work out, but it was very like a inside feeling like, oh my God, I have to go there at some point.
Good to have that fire lit, because otherwise things can seem kind of like a tick box exercise that, I just need to do this, need to do that. But actually having that taken away from you now and felt that fire burning means that you know this is the right thing for you to do.
Definitely. Yeah. How have you gone around choosing the things that you've done? Like, why did you row the Atlantic or ski across Greenland kind of thing?
Yeah, so rowing the Atlantic, I didn't really know this thing existed. I had heard a friend of a friend had rowed across the Atlantic a few years before, so I was kind of loosely aware that this was a thing that was possible, that you could row across the Atlantic, but didn't know that there was actually an organization that supported this. And so James sent me that email, followed the links, and half an hour later I emailed him back saying, yes, we should do this. P.S. Just put a deposit on a boat. So we were then fully committed. It was properly in for a penny, in for a pound. That was that, and we decided together that we were going to do it. We had the boat built, and 18 months later, we reached Antigua after 63 days at sea. So that was fantastic. And then I was very much of the opinion that I wanted to start doing other large and long expeditions. My gateway drug had been cycling. So cycle touring, been Himalayas a couple of times, and then lots of mountaineering and stuff. And I thought, well, doing these long and hard and arduous expeditions was great. You get to remote places that most people don't get to. It's a big challenge. It's the uncertainty whether you're going to succeed, which is quite an exciting aspect of doing a big expedition. And so doing something in the polar regions was just a natural next step. And skiing across Greenland seemed like a good gateway into that. So yeah, teamed up with my friend Murray, and we spent 23 days or just under 24 days skiing across Greenland. And I really thought that I was then going to carry on doing these longer, harder expeditions, and South Pole and various other things were very much on my mind. But then I started to get distracted by what I would describe as activities that deliver their payload in a single and powerful dose. So whereas a long expedition, it's all drawn out over time, things like speed flying deliver that same payload in a whopping great hit. So I started to do much more of that. And I'm now going back to thinking that maybe taking my time over some long expeditions would be nice again. So Vatnajökull will probably be about 10 days, give or take. And I'm going to use that as a test to see whether or not our bodies can cope in Antarctica. To potentially think about doing a South Pole trip with 3 spinal cord injury patients. And then very keen to do more in the Arctic with mountaineering in particular, especially because of my family backgrounds with mountaineering in the Arctic. I think would be wonderful. So yeah, all that.
So, yes, my burning question in response to that is obviously huge trips are awesome, but how do you make them happen in terms of having a job and like being a person that can pay for these things and stuff? Because they can be expensive or difficult, which I guess cycling is obviously a great one because it's actually pretty cheap. But like in terms of that's like, I guess people's biggest excuse is like, okay, but I don't have the time or money to go and do these things.
But you're right, it's an excuse. My big thing, I have a very young daughter, 3 years old, and I don't want to spend too much time away from her. But the excuse of time and money, yeah, obviously it does take time and it does take money, but not that much time and not that much money. And what would you rather spend your time or your money doing than great things? Either you spend your time doing stuff that you don't like and that give you nothing, or you spend your time doing great things. Either you spend your money buying shit you don't need, or you spend it on great stuff. So I have always had the mentality that if I had spare money, that I would use it on great things and make the time for it. And if you're not doing, you're just making excuses, to be perfectly honest. Employers can be difficult about these things, but they can also be understanding. And no one's going to begrudge you taking 2 weeks away to have a mega adventure. And you can have a mega adventure in just a few days. You can have a totally life-changing adventure in just a few days. And we all have that within us in terms of our ability to manage time away from work, all of us. And you can have an astonishingly tough adventure on almost no money, if that's what you choose. Just don't do things guided. Just go by yourself. Cycling, climbing, mountaineering, hiking, whatever it ends up being. Things like rowing the Atlantic, that's expensive because you've got to buy a boat. But that's pretty rare for a trip to be that expensive if you're doing stuff by yourself. But just stop making excuses. What would you rather do with your life than use your time and your money to fill your life with amazing experiences?
That was an epic answer. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.